Lot's story begins in the ancient land of Mesopotamia, where he was born as the son of Haran, Abraham's brother. This made Lot the nephew of Abraham, the man known as the father of faith. Though Lot's early life is not deeply covered in the Bible, we know that tragedy struck early when Lot's father died. After his father's death, Lot joined his grandfather Terah, his uncle Abraham and Sarah, on a journey from their home in Ur of the Chaldeans. Together, they traveled to the city of Haran. Lot's life took a major turn when his grandfather Terah passed away, leaving Abraham as the head of the family. When God called Abraham to leave Haran and travel to a new land, Lot chose to follow his uncle. Together, they journeyed toward Canaan, the land that God had promised to Abraham and his descendants. Lot stayed by Abraham's side during this time, even during difficult moments, like the famine that forced them to leave Canaan for Egypt. Their stay in Egypt, however, did not go as planned. Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, discovered that Abraham had deceived him by not revealing that Sarah was his wife. Angered, Pharaoh ordered Abraham and his household to leave Egypt. Lot, who had been traveling with them, returned to Canaan with Abraham after their exile from the land. In the time that followed, both Abraham and Lot prospered. Their flocks and wealth grew so much that the land they were living in could no longer support them both. Conflict began to break out between the shepherds who worked for Abraham and those who worked for Lot. Realizing that the situation could lead to further strife, Abraham proposed a solution to his nephew. He gave Lot the choice of where he would like to live, allowing him to pick the land he thought was best. In a generous gesture, Abraham was willing to take what was left over. Lot looked around and saw the fertile plains of the Jordan Valley near the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. The land was lush, well-watered, and seemed perfect for his flocks. Without hesitation, Lot chose the green plains and moved his household toward Sodom. But as beautiful as the land seemed, it lay near a city filled with wickedness. Sodom was notorious for its sinful ways, and the Bible describes its people as great sinners against the Lord. Lot settled in the area, and it wasn't long before he became deeply involved in the life of Sodom. Over time, Lot appeared to rise in influence within Sodom. He was often found sitting at the city gate, a place where the most respected leaders and elders gathered to resolve disputes and legal matters. Despite this position of prominence, Lot's soul was troubled. The daily wickedness he saw around him weighed heavily on him. The Bible describes how Lot was distressed by the immoral lives of the people in Sodom, constantly tormented by their sinful deeds. Then came a day when disaster struck the cities of Sodom, Gomorrah, and their neighbors. A coalition of kings from Mesopotamia waged war against the cities, defeating their armies and taking many of the people captive, including Lot. His possessions were taken, and he was dragged away along with the rest of the spoils of war. But news of Lot's capture reached Abraham, who immediately took action. Abraham gathered a small band of men and, in a daring nighttime raid, attacked the enemy army, rescuing Lot and recovering everything that had been stolen. Despite this dangerous incident, Lot chose to return to Sodom. The city, with all its wealth and opportunities, still held an appeal for him. But Sodom's wickedness had reached a point of no return in God's eyes. The Lord decided to destroy the city along with Gomorrah and the other cities of the plain. Before bringing this destruction, God sent 2 angels to rescue Lot and his family. The angels arrived in Sodom and found Lot sitting at the city gate. Recognizing them as divine messengers, Lot invited them into his home, offering them food and shelter. But the men of Sodom, driven by their depravity, surrounded Lot's house. They demanded that Lot hand over the angels so that they could abuse them. Desperate to protect his guests, Lot made a shocking and tragic offer. He would give the mob his 2 daughters instead. The crowd, however, ignored Lot's offer and continued to demand the angels. The situation seemed hopeless, but the angels intervened. They struck the men of Sodom with blindness, preventing them from finding the door to Lot's house. With the immediate danger averted, the angels warned Lot to gather his family and leave the city, or it would soon be destroyed. Still, Lot hesitated. Perhaps he was reluctant to leave the life he had built in Sodom, or maybe he found it hard to believe the city would truly be wiped out. Whatever the reason, the angels had to physically take Lot his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand and lead them out of the city. As they fled, the angels gave them a strict command: do not look back. The destruction of Sodom would be swift and complete, and they were to leave without hesitation. Tragically, Lot's wife disobeyed this command. She looked back at the burning city, and in that moment, she was turned into a pillar of salt, forever a reminder of the consequences of disobedience. Lot and his 2 daughters continued their escape, eventually settling in a small town. However, Lot became fearful of living there and decided to move with his daughters to a cave in the mountains. It was in this isolated and desperate place that another tragedy unfolded. Lot's daughters, believing they had no other way to continue their family line, got their father drunk and slept with him. From these incestuous unions, 2 sons were born: Moab, the ancestor of the Moabites, and Ben-Ami, the ancestor of the Ammonites. Both of these nations would later become bitter enemies of Israel. After this, the Bible tells us little more about Lot. He fades from the narrative, and we are left to wonder what became of him. Did he live out his days in sorrow and regret? Did he ever find peace after the destruction of his home and the shameful acts of his daughters? The Bible does not say. What we do know is that Lot had the chance to learn from Abraham, a man of great faith. Yet, Lot's decisions were often guided by what he saw with his eyes rather than by faith. His choice to live near Sodom, a city filled with wickedness, led to hardship and heartbreak. Though the Apostle Peter calls Lot a righteous man, his life serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of being drawn into a sinful environment. While Lot was saved from the destruction of Sodom, the scars left on him and his family were deep and lasting. Lot's story, though filled with tragedy and difficult choices, is a powerful reminder of the consequences of our decisions. Though he was a man of faith, his life was deeply affected by the wickedness around him. He is a testament to God's mercy and grace, but also a warning of what happens when we allow ourselves to be drawn into sinful environments. As we reflect on Lot's journey, we are reminded that our choices matter, and staying close to God's guidance can help us avoid the painful consequences that come with being led by worldly desires. If you found this story insightful, make sure to give this video a like, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for more Bible stories. Stay tuned for our next video where we dive into another incredible story in the Bible.